Hi guys, this video is for people who's got gluteal tendinopathy and who wants to get back to running. So what I'm going to do is I'm first just going to touch base on what happens, why do you get gluteal tendinopathy, what other treatments may be useful, and then I'm going to talk about things you may want to change your running style that could have contributed to your glutes overstraining. So my name is Maryke. I'm one of the physiotherapists from sportsinjuryphysio.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your injuries. Have a look at the description of this video if you would like more information about that. Okay, so gluteal tendinopathy can give you pain deep inside your buttock or over the side of your hip sometimes. And it basically happens when you've done exercise that overstrained the glute muscles tendon. So the glutes attaches into a tendon, attaches onto the bone. Now, things that can cause that is if you suddenly increased your load bearing activity. So for instance, you're used to walking and lots of walking, but then you start to run every second day. And all of a sudden it goes, oh, no, I'm not used to this high load of exercise. For women, often it can also go hand in hand with when the menopause starts, because that can affect how quickly your tendons recover. But I've spoken about all of this in detail in another video. Have a look. I'll link to this video, to that video at the end of this one. So the things in your running style specifically that can cause the glute tendon to overstrain is if you overstride. So that's when you place or make contact with the ground quite far in front of your body. And you're usually a heel striker if you overstride. So what happens is, by placing your foot in front of you, you kind of create a braking force. So that increases the forces up through the hip, and that can cause the tendon to overstride. I'll demonstrate it in a minute. Then if you run and you get a pelvic drop, so you don't control your pelvis very well, and that can go hand in hand with lacking the strength in your glutes and pelvic stability muscles. So it's important to look that you get good muscle strength before you go back to running. Let me demonstrate that while I'm talking about it, because it's much easier to picture it then. So if you think of the overstride, that would be if you make contact with the ground in front of you. So you can see that's going to create a small braking force through my body. Now, the pelvic drop I'm talking about is if you look at yourself running on a video and you see that happening, your pelvis dropping as you run. So if you support it on one leg, that type of thing, because this glute tendon will then overstrain. Then also if the legs move in excessively when you run, so that would cause a strain on it. So a lot of people tend to run with quite a narrow gait, as if they're running on a tightrope, and that can cause trouble in the glutes. Then the last one is if your knee turns in excessively when you place it down. That can cause strain on the tendon. So how do we fix it? We just try and reverse all of those things. So a few strategies that can work is if we try to reduce the impact forces through the legs. So the first thing you can do there is try and increase your cadence. So that's how quickly you step or how many steps you give in a minute. So first of all, you have to count how many you give in a minute to know if you need to increase it. You can either do that looking at your watch, or you can literally just count and time for a minute. But like my watch tells me how many steps I give in a minute. And when you try to increase it, don't try and increase it by a lot, because that's too difficult. Just go for 5%, so a few steps more. That's been shown to help with, that can help to decrease how much your pelvis drops, because you've got less time that you spend on the ground. It can also decrease the impact forces through reducing your stride length. So if you're giving quicker steps, you tend to not overstride so much. Something else that can help with overstriding is if you think about trying to land with your foot underneath your center of gravity or your body. So for instance, if you're running, you lean forwards from the trunk and you try to make contact as you land closer in. So you're not landing out there, you try and land more there. And you'll find that that naturally tends to put you into more of a midfoot kind of strike rather than a heavy heel strike. Other things that could help is if you think about running softly. So listen to your steps. Do you sound like an elephant? Boof, 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 really hard heel striking. Then try to soften that, because by just trying to soften that, it often increases your step rate and it decreases how much force goes through your body. For the knees turning in excessively, Simple cue that works for me, because when I get tired towards the end of a run, I definitely, oh, I look terrible. You know those pictures they always take at the end of a race where you come over the line, you feel like a hero, and you look at it and you've got the worst style ever. So yeah, my legs definitely collapse towards the end of a race. But if I tend to just think about trying to keep my knees pointing forwards while I run, that tends to help it, that it doesn't quite turn so much. So what I tend to do, so you can feel when you land, your leg kind of does that. You want to just slow it down, that you maybe just get that. Don't overdo it that you end up running with your knees pointing out. It's just going to be forwards or slight in and come back, but not excessively in. If you're one of those people who have quite a narrow line of progression, telltale sign is if you kick yourself, you know, when you finish your run and you've got loads of mud there, again something I do, then you can maybe concentrate on just not quite placing your feet on such a tight rope. Okay, so just try and space your feet a little bit further apart when you run. It's really difficult to change your running style. So the best way to do it, because it's something that's ingrained in you, you do it automatically, and you've now got to replace an old program with a new one. So the best way to do that is to do through run walks. But if you're coming back from gluteal tendinopathy, you should in any case be doing run walks. You shouldn't be doing continuous running, because you're more likely to re-injure yourself if you go back into continuous running immediately. Now, so use that period where you're coming back to it to slowly use run walks to practice your running style. So do 1 minute's running, but think about where are my legs moving, then walk again. 1 minute's running, think about landing closer underneath you and walk again. So that before you get tired, because if you're tired, you'll lose your form in any case, because your muscles will just go, I can't do this anymore. So practice it in those little bursts, and you're much more likely to be able to get it to become automatic. It takes roughly 3 months of thinking about something before it becomes automatic, or that's for myself in any case. Excellent. Let me know if you've got any questions, and if you need more help with your injury, you're always welcome to consult us via video call. Link is in the description of this video. Take care.